licensing and administrative procedures will come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Chairman King.
Here.
Vice Chair Wally. Goldman.
Here.
Harless.
Here.
Hernandez. Herrera.
Here.
Tracy King. Patterson. Schaefer.
Here.
Shaheen.
Here.
Thompson.
We're going to take her Joanda's bill real quick. How many witnesses? 0. Okay. Members, when we get we'll get a couple more here, we're going to take up pending business, but we're going to start by, Chair lays out House Bill 3583, recognizes Representative Jones to explain her bill briefly.
Wow. Good morning. Thank you, Chairman King and Vice Chair Wally, who's not here. Freshman gets to go first. Great. Don't worry, I won't. I was looking around saying I'm the only one here.
Ms. Jones, we have a rule that brevity is appreciated in this.
Okay, so I appreciate.
We intend on finishing by 10 o'clock, so please proceed.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about HB 3583, which creates an advisory commission for youth sports programs to enhance the safety, health, and well-being of young athletes in leagues that are not school affiliated and regulated, and said programs will be regulated with multi-perspective expertise. I've tagged this bill the Youth Sports Commission. The bill establishes a new chapter in the Occupation Code to regulate youth sports programs in Texas. The Texas Commission of Licensing and Regulations presiding officer will appoint the members of the advisory committee. The advisory board will consist of 9 members, which will give advice and recommendations to the Department of Licensing and Regulation. 2 members who specialize in orthopedic surgery and sports medicine, 2 members who specialize in neurology, 1 member who specializes in youth psychology, 1 member who is the current or former chief law enforcement officer of a county or municipality, and 3 members who represent the community at large. The department will manage, apply, and assess applications for licenses, analyze potential infringements, and charge fees to offset expenses. This bill will make operating a youth sports program without a license illegal. Applicants must request a license and pay applicable fees as instructed by the department. A toll-free number will be set up for complaints about possible violations or safety issues. The department will approve concussion and venue safety protocols proposed by youth sports programs. Civil and administrative penalties will be applied to violators, including the suspension or cancellation of licenses. This rule will not apply to programs associated with schools, universities, or national governing bodies of sports recognized by the U.S. Olympic Committee. This bill is important because as a former athlete and who played AAU sports and ran track, you actually can't play sports in school until 7th grade. And that's regulated by UIL. Then when you go to college, it's regulated by the NCAA and other agencies like that. And kids in youth sports are playing age group. They're playing football, they're playing everything. I've seen kids get concussions, and the reason that I put, and then you hear about all the things that happen with the U.S. gymnastics. And so we need to protect children and their health and well-being, and which is why I have filed this bill. So this is very important that we protect kids who are not otherwise protected, and I reserve the right to close.
Thank you. Members, are there questions for the representative? Seeing none. Is there anyone here that wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3583? None? Hearing none, the chair recognizes Representative Jones to close on her bill.
In closing, HB 3583 urges this committee to support HB 3583, the Youth Sports Commission bill, which will create an advisory commission for youth sports programs to enhance the safety and well-being of young non-school participant athletes and regulate the program, organizations, and leagues with this multi-perspective expertise. This bill is crucial to protect young athletes who participate in leagues which are non-school affiliated programs and ensure they have a safe and healthy environment to pursue their passions. Thank you for your time and consideration. I ask that you favorably take this out of committee.
Okay.
And with that, I close.
All right. Thank you for being here. If there's no objection, House Bill 3583 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. 3583 is left pending.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, let the record reflect that Vice Chair Wally has joined us on the dais. Members, I apologize. I got a little ahead of myself this morning. I forgot to do our housekeeping. As a reminder, anyone wishing to testify before this committee, please register at the kiosk located in the hallway behind the hearing room. If you require assistance registering to testify, please contact the committee staff. Additionally, witnesses will be on a 3-minute timer. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. Ditto is acceptable. If your testimony is redundant, I will remind you of that. Thank you for being here. All right. Okay. Chair refers following bills to the Subcommittee on Alcohol and Controlled Substances. HB 3081, HB 4426. And this is, okay. Hey, we ready?
I'm ready. I just think I need to make
How many witnesses? I don't know. How many witnesses? You only have one.
why not? There's some people here that are-
We'll just go and let them learn.
Thanks.
Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 4931. Recognize Chairman Herrero to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill that would require mixed beverage permit holders to maintain liability insurance with a minimum coverage of $500,000 per person, owed damages, and $1 million for each single occurrence. This is a bill that was brought to us by constituents related to a tragic incident that occurred, and so this is a bill that we present to the committee for consideration. And with that, I'd like to reserve the right to close if there are no questions.
Okay. Members, there questions for Chairman Herrero? Nope, not seeing any. We'll start public. Okay. Chair calls John Flood. Mr. Flood, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. John Flood, Corpus Christi, Texas, and I'm appearing on behalf of myself in support of House Bill 4931.
Thank you. Please
proceed. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I live and work in Corpus Christi and have for the past 59 years. Those of you that have been to Corpus Christi know that we live in the shadow of refineries and petrochemical companies. And over the last 20 years, those industries have become much, much safer for the people that work there and for the people in our community. And I don't believe that in reality we can thank OSHA and EPA for that. I think that the insurance industry and its auditing and risk mitigation efforts are what make that type of inherently dangerous work and processes so much safer for our community. HB 4931 would move that sort of market-driven safety incentives into bars and finally force bar owners who habitually overserve patrons and release those patrons onto the streets to kill folks like my clients, grandmother and granddaughter. It would force them to have some skin in the game. Right now, bar owners are literally counseled in my hometown to not carry insurance, to own your bar through one LLC, run the revenue through another LLC, and then pocket everything else through another LLC. And they simply ignore any responsibility that exists under the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code. The insurance industry is a proven, effective regulator of business, and HB 4931 would help our make communities safer by bringing that sort of risk management, market-driven risk management, into bars that are, by definition, involved in a dangerous activity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you for being here. Members, are questions of the witness? Seeing none? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4931? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Herrero to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to lay out this bill. I know that we've heard some opposition to this bill in our office, and I know that some people have expressed their concerns, but we're willing to work with all the interested stakeholders to make sure that we craft a bill that results with the intended purpose of ensuring and securing the safety of our constituents. And with that, I close if there are no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harrow. Is there questions with the chairman? Seeing none, if there's no objection, House Bill 4931 will be left pending at this time. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 4931 is left pending. The record reflect that Ms. Thompson and Mr. Schaefer have joined us. Are you here or not?
I was here late last night.
I understand. You shouldn't have 20 witnesses at 3 in the morning. Since we have we're only missing one, we'll go ahead and take up pending business. You want to do that? Yes, I just did. You ready? Okay. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 1568. Members, this is the bill that creates a license for swim instructors. Chair offers up committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. Substitute is adopted. Chair moves that House Bill 1568 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House for recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally?
Aye.
Goldman?
Aye.
Harless?
Aye.
Hernandez? Ferrero?
Aye.
Tracy King? Patterson?
Aye.
Schaefer?
No.
Shaheen?
No.
Thompson? Chair King?
Aye. There being 8 ayes and 2 nays, the motion prevails. Thank you. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 3350. Members, this is a bill regarding vintage distilled spirits. Representative Goldman offers up committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The substitute is adopted. Representative Goldman moves that House Bill 3350 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally?
Aye.
Goldman?
Aye.
Harless?
Yes.
Hernandez? Ferrero?
Aye.
Tracy King? Patterson?
Aye.
Schaefer?
Aye.
Shaheen?
Aye.
Thompson? Chair King?
Aye.
10-0.
There have been 10 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 4416. Members, this is a bill regarding auctioneering. Representative Harless offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. Substitute is adopted. Representative Harless moves that House Bill 4416 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally?
Aye.
Goldman?
Aye.
Harless?
Aye.
Hernandez? Ferrero?
Aye.
Tracy King? Patterson?
Aye.
Schaefer? Shaheen?
Aye.
Thompson? Chair King?
Aye.
10-0.
Been 10 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. Okay, we may have to go. Okay, that concludes our pending business for today. Let's move to, who's next? Huh? Okay, where's he at?
3944.
Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3944 and recognizes Leilani, Representative Leilani to explain the bill. I knew I was going to mess it up. Thank you. Leilani. And I've known him for a while, but I keep messing it up. Come on, you're up, even if I said it wrong.
Good morning.
Good morning.
One time when I was rounding on our floor, one of my patients sang the song, Sweet Leilani. So that reminded a lot of people to remember that name. Well, thank you, Chairman and members, for the committee for allowing me to lay out 3944, which seeks to improve the safety between cyclists and the ride shares. I'm here today to advocate for a simple yet crucial change that I believe will improve road safety for ride shares, bikers, and all of us. As you may know, many cities around the world have designated cycle lanes on their roads to provide safety and efficient means for transportation and for the cyclist. However, with rideshare apps becoming more and more prevalent, unfortunately, so are the accidents between the cyclist and rideshares. According to the Department of Transportation, cyclists account for 1 in 50 traffic fatalities in Texas. And unfortunately, that number is trending upwards. In 2013, there were 48 bikers deaths in Texas. In 2021, there were 89. The Texas Department of Transportation also identifies during accident, which when a parked car's door swings open and hits the cyclist, as one of the fourth most common hazard for cyclists. Because rideshare vehicles are constantly stopping and going, during accidents can be particularly prevalent. If we want to see that number decrease, we must start implementing changes somewhere. Uber already notifies passengers if they are being dropped off in a bike lane and to alert for the bikers. However, what they do not do is to provide the same information for the pickup, nor do they provide the same notification to the driver. By coding this best practice that is already exemplified by Uber, with some minor changes, we can make sure that our rideshare users, as well as our bikers, are safe on the road. Chairman and members, I kindly yield for questions.
Members, are questions? Okay. Well, if you do, you just tap me on the shoulder. We'll recognize you right away. Okay, you have a couple witnesses. We'll call
Yes,
you
sir.
back up and we'll reserve your right to close.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair calls Robin Stallings. Mr. Stallings, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak. My name is Robin Stallings. I'm the executive director of Bike Texas. We were founded in 1991 to advance bicycle access, safety, and education. We feel like this bill is a very good thing. There's no fiscal note. There is a chance to save some lives. As Dr. Leilani said, dooring is one of the worst kind of crashes, because the bicyclist is going at speed, the door pops open, and it's a very dangerous, abrupt stop. So we are in full support of this bill.
Thank you. Members, questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Wally. Okay. Chair calls Yanir Bahil. We're close. Okay. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Hi, thank you. My name is Yanir Bahil. I'm representing myself, and I am for the bill. I come from a family of bikers. Both myself and my family and my father are avid bikers, my father himself being a top fundraiser for the MS-150 and myself volunteering for it for a few years as well. So safe to say cycling is pretty close and dear to my heart. So as we start to move towards a more environmentally friendly and sustainable future, it's increasingly becoming more common to see bicycle lanes being built in cities around the world. These lanes are an essential part of making our streets safe and more accessible for cyclists, and they play a crucial role in promoting a sustainable mode of transportation for us in the future. However, as it was brought up, as bike lanes are becoming more prevalent, it's important that we ensure all safety of the road users. So this is where companies like Uber and Lyft come into play, and similar applications as well. So I'm very much in favor for this bill to provide safety for everyone, including the users of these rideshare applications as well as the cyclists. So by doing so, we can help prevent accidents and ensure that cyclists are able to use the lane safely. So I ask as a citizen, as a fellow cyclist, to please take one step further, making our streets safer for people like myself and my family. Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here. Members, questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate your testimony. Chair calls Jay Crossley. Mr. Crossley, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Good morning. My name is Jay Blazek Crossley. I'm with the Executive Director of Farm and City, and we are for the bill. So thank you, Chairman King and members, for your service to all the people of Texas. And our biggest program is Vision Zero Texas, and we work with TxDOT and cities across the state to end traffic deaths for all modes. Most people who die on our streets die in cars, but many people, we also have very high rates of people dying as pedestrians or riding bikes. I just wanted to add a couple points that I hope are helpful to this bill. One is that yesterday I came downtown, I drove my truck, I parked here, and then I had to run to an office and I had to run around, so I rode a scooter, and I started taking pictures. And just yesterday, I got 3 pictures of someone parked in a bike lane or opening a door very quickly in a bike lane, all little things that are dangerous. And that is a public right-of-way that has a purpose that is being violated. And my other point is that last session, the legislature passed a bill, which is the Stop for Pedestrians bill, a terrific bill to clarify in a crosswalk, you have to stop before you hit a person. You might have seen all over the state little signs right at the crosswalk that say, state law, stop for pedestrians. And there's no way we're going to arrest everyone for bad behaviors in our state. And people driving and people riding bikes do bad things. However, having the message right at the point where you're about to make the decision whether or not you're endanger others or not is extremely effective at helping all of us live together and not hurt each other in the streets. So that's why I think this bill is a terrific way to help make our state a little bit safer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Members, there are questions of the witness? Seeing none, appreciate your testimony.
Thank you
for being here. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify on for or against House Bill 3944? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Leilani to close on his bill.
Thank you, Chairman and members, for your time and consideration. I close.
Thank you very much. That was a very efficient closing for a freshman. Thank you for that. Questions? There are no questions. Good
Thank
job.
you.
I guess we'll just go ahead and do matters, I guess. Where is he? Okay. The yellow. That's okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3712. Chair offers a committee substitute to House Bill 3712. Recognizes Representative Hernandez to explain her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. House Bill 3712 would allow the holder of a distributor's license to provide no more than 72 ounces of malt beverages to holders of a retail permit or license for the purpose of sampling new malt beverage products. For decades, distributor licensees were allowed to provide malt beverage samples to retailers. This allowed the retailers to sample new malt beverage products before choosing to carry these products in their stores. However, this practice was inadvertently prohibited during the 2019 TABC Sunset Bill. This bill would reinstate the industry practice of allowing distributor licensees to provide malt beverage samples to these retailers. The committee substitute is a Ledge Council draft and replaces terms to conform to the definitions in the TABC code. Additionally, the term six-pack is replaced with 72 ounces to better reflect differences in packaging. Glad to answer any questions and reserve the right to close.
Okay, members, there are questions? Seeing none, you have the right to close. Who do we have? Chair calls Keith Strams. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Good morning, Keith Strama. I'm counsel for the Wholesale Beer Distributors of Texas for the bill. I'm really just here to answer any questions. Sorry.
Yeah, Keith, I didn't pronounce your name correctly because I don't think it was spelled correctly.
Did I leave an A off of it?
You put an S.
At the end.
It is STRAMS.
Oh, I apologize.
How would you like to correct that?
STRAMA.
And we have your permission to change the record.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
Okay. So So, Mr. Stroma, for the record, let's just make sure it's clear. You're Keith Stroma. You represent the Wholesale Beer Distributors of Texas, and you are for the bill.
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
Just here to answer any questions. Representative Hernandez, as always, did a great job laying out the bill. We appreciate the help of TABC to get us through what was a technical issue with converting from malt beverages from beer and ale to malt beverages, but this is an important tool for distributors to promote new products.
Okay. Members or questions, Mr. Stroma?
I'm trying to understand what his name is. Do we know?
There's no telling who people identify as these days. I'm not sure who came up here.
I knew it was Stroma, but he spelled his name differently.
Yeah.
Sorry for the spelling error. Late night.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Is it? All right, is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3712? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Hernandez to close on her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
Okay. The committee substitute is withdrawn. If there's no objection, House Bill 3712 be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3712 is left pending. I guess, where's he? What's the numbers? Blue? Nope. The pink one? Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3339 and recognizes Representative Patterson to explain his.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I joined this committee, I knew that there were a lot of rules and restrictions on who could sell alcohol and how alcohol was sold. However, I was surprised by the lack of consistency in the marketplace. For instance, there are package stores that sell groceries, but grocery stores can't sell distilled spirits. Why can't grocery stores offer distilled spirits if they do it in the same responsible and safe manner as existing package stores? House Bill 3339 isn't a new idea, but this bill approaches the issue from a different angle. Instead of becoming a package store, the bill proposes to create a separate chapter of the Alcohol Beverage Code and establish a new permit for grocery or retail stores to sell distilled spirits. This new permit would allow the grocery or retail stores to sell distilled spirits per current TABC regulations, meaning a separate structure, entrance, and facilities to prohibit the sale of distilled spirits to minors and be able to close on Sundays and after 9 p.m. on weekdays. This bill does not amend Chapter 22 related to package store permits or change their business model in any way. House Bill 3339 does not interfere with their business model. It only introduces competition on an even playing field. This new permit is capped at 250 permits. For example, Walmart has approximately 590 stores in Texas, meaning roughly 340 stores would not be able to sell distilled spirits, more than half. Concerns have been presented with the access of liquor to minors, and that is why this legislation establishes a separate store to prevent children from entering this location, just as liquor stores do. It also allows the retailers to apply the age limit for their employees to this separate store with distilled spirits, the same as existing package stores do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to lay out this bill. I sincerely appreciate it and would take any questions or reserve my right to close.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Members or questions for Representative Patterson? Seeing none, I think you do have witnesses here. Chair calls Russell Withers. Mr. Withers, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Good morning, Chairman King and members of the committee. My name is Russell Withers. I serve as General Counsel and Director of Policy at the Texas Conservative Coalition Research Institute, and I'm representing that organization and myself in favor of House Bill 3339.
Please proceed.
Thank you. When I joined TCCRI 10 years ago, repealing some of the restrictive measures in the Alcoholic Beverage Code has long been a priority of the organization. One of those measures is Section 2216, which restricts publicly traded corporations from having a package store permit. This bill doesn't touch directly on that, but I'll come to that in a second. Now, I could stand here and talk about how that provision is anti-competitive and restricts consumer choice, but instead I'm just going to give a quick anecdote that I think speaks to the consumer experience on this law. I lived in Texas my whole life until I moved to New Orleans for law school. And I remember the first time that I went out to find a liquor store, and there actually aren't very many of them in New Orleans, in Louisiana. And I didn't realize why that was until I walked into a grocery store and saw all of the liquor. And I thought, well, this is really convenient. Other states should do this. And it turns out that they actually do. Texas is the outlier. So when I came back to Texas and started working at TCCRI, that organization has been advocating for repeal of that section for a long time. I didn't realize that this was something that the legislature had been discussing and fighting about for such a long time. So we've watched these bills get filed every session, and Representative Patterson has filed a novel approach. It just offers up a new type of permit that allows these companies to sell liquors in their stores. Given some of the disagreement between parties and in the legislature, this approach seems pretty novel and a reasonable compromise. It lets these companies sell liquor in their stores, in their own little store within a store. And I would respectfully request the committee's favorable consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, there are questions of the witness? Sorry. Members, there are questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair calls Jason Justice. Mr. Justice, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
So, good morning, Chairman King, distinguished members of the committee. Jason Justice, represent Walmart for the bill. I appreciate the opportunity to testify in support of this bill. As market manager for Walmart, I'm proud to be a team of oversee over 600, about 590, 600 stores here in Texas, 42 of which are in the committee's districts. Our 185,000 associates in the state serve millions of customers every year, whether it's rural, urban, suburban, coastal communities. In my nearly 25 years, I've had the pleasure of living in, working in multiple states, different communities. And one of the constant things as I've been over South Texas, throughout this part of Central Texas has been from customers having to go to a different store or go over county lines to a different store instead of being able to buy beer, wine, and their spirits at the same location. So although Walmart is a large company, we stay in tune with our customers and advocate on their behalf to remain competitive in today's marketplace. And that's why House Bill 3339 will provide an opportunity to compete. I'd like to highlight a couple, great things that associates perform daily, whether in complex store operations, whether it's logistics, stocking shelves, checking out thousands of customers each and every day in their stores, receiving ongoing training on customer service, personal safety, best practices, changing rules related to regulated items. Additionally, our store teams work collaboratively to safeguard products and customers. We handle beer and wine products, and no doubt our professionals can integrate spirits into the industry-leading process and operations. In conclusion, I commend Representative Patterson in his vision and leadership in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, there are questions of this witness? Mr. Harlos?
Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay. You missed it. You missed it. You had the perfect name to be an
Yeah, I do. No, just the market manager for Walmart. So.
But no blue vest?
No.
They don't give you the vest?
No vest.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Justice.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Herrera?
Yes, please.
Does have a question.
Yeah, a couple of questions.
Sure.
It hasn't come up in this bill, but in situations in other matters, it's been talked about how you would have, not you, but just in general, stores that are wanting to sell liquor, that you would have minors essentially selling this liquor to individuals. What, if anything, has Walmart contemplated in ensuring that, minors aren't getting their hands on liquor, to that, they're these individuals that may not be 21 years of age are somehow not following the law, if you will, as they should. In other words, what parameters or safety guidelines would Walmart have in place to ensure that these laws that are in existence are maintained and established and enforced?
Sure. So currently we sell beer and wine, And up front, the computers are based with different systems, whether it's self-checkouts, which I'm sure, folks have seen those, or just a standard man register with an associate there. Whether it's age restricted, so it'll pop up. So obviously someone has to come out, they'll check it. But in your instance, for someone that wasn't old enough, we have hosts up front. So the self-checkout hosts, or we have supervisors throughout the front that come over and handle those situations. So that at any time it stops that transaction so it can't move forward, and therefore someone else can come over, verify ID, verify age, and then put their code in that's overriding the system saying that proceed with the sale. But it would stop that sale. And typically in some stores, like higher traffic stores and stuff, we try to put, a minor associate not in one of the registers that would be handling anything to do with the beer and stuff, just to keep the traffic flow.
So the liquor would be handled the same as the alcohol that is currently sold?
Yes, well, I'm not probably the best person to ask because of the way that this bill wrote. I saw it be separate, so it would be folks above the age limit working out in that area. You wouldn't have a minor out in the liquor store.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Members, further questions of the witness?
I got one.
Yes, Mr. Hargis.
You brought up a point. So when you go to the self-checkout deals, like at the grocery store or whatever, and you buy beer or wine, do they sell wine at the grocery store?
Yes.
Whatever, you buy beer, whatever. Does that send a flag up to whatever you call it, the host?
Yes, so in a self-check.
Even in my scenario, because it's never happened to me. Could be the silver hair, but it's never. I'm just curious. How it does for everybody?
As soon as something that's age restricted, whether it's cough medicine, cold medicine, anything that has an age restriction, whether it's 16, 17, up to liquor, it automatically stops the transaction, and therefore someone has to come in and either put their numbers in, or if someone else, they could check, ID and enter in the date of birth,
George Bush over here, never been to the grocery store.
But it automatically stops.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Thank you for that. Mr. Herrero has another question, a legitimate question.
Yes.
Good morning again. And I don't know if maybe you're the witness to ask this question, but there's been, at least in our area, a concern about Walmart, closing down mom and pop stores, from the times that Walmarts were open in small towns to shutting those Walmart stores down to creating this super Walmart store that is conveniently located between every small town that used to have a mom and pop store. What's to prevent Walmart from, shutting down mom and pop liquor stores?
So I may not be the best person to answer that with all the knowledge and different things. But I do know, just looking at the amount of stores we do have, 590 plus here in Texas, and at 15, a year, it's not like we wouldn't be opening 600 across all things. And the varieties and things like that, what we'd carry, wouldn't necessarily compete with a liquor store that has, vast varieties and things like that of everything. But to the details, I could get you more answers on that.
And that's fine. I think you've answered it, and the way I understand that question is you're not taking over the market.
Yeah, no.
You're wanting to offer some variety.
Having an offering of,
to what you, I believe in your testimony wrote, the complaints or concerns from customers that you say, that ask, why don't y'all sell?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Remember, there are further questions of the witness. Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Chair called John McCord. Mr. McCord, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Sure thing, Mr. Chairman. John McCord on behalf of the Texas Retailers Association in support of HB 3339. Good morning. Thank you all for taking a few minutes to visit with us about alcohol regulations in Texas. As I mentioned, my name is John McCord, and for just over a year, I've been the executive director of the Texas Retailers Association here in Texas. As some of you will hopefully recall, I was right here at this time last week advocating for the sale of spirits in grocery stores. So it's a little bit of deja vu here on Wednesday. I'm not here for the second week in a row because I had so much fun last week. And while I do enjoy visiting with y'all, it's not necessarily the highlight of session, right? But here is why I am here. because on a daily basis, my members are hearing from their customers about the desire to have the convenience to be able to go in for a one-stop shop to buy their alcohol products. That is the reason that we continue to come up here and have this conversation. HB 3339 by Representative Patterson is yet another avenue for you to consider that will ultimately allow us to serve our customers better. At the outset, I want to clarify that 3339 does not in any way diminish the three-tier system. Instead, it just brings some needed clarity into the retail tier. I said this last week, but it's worth repeating because several were out of the room with other committee hearings. Package stores in Texas have done a phenomenal job of carving out a corner of the market where competition is limited to only current market participants. So good, in fact, that Texas laws have created barriers to entry in this market that do not exist anywhere else in the country. For instance, Texas has a prohibition on publicly traded companies, as was mentioned earlier, owning a package store permit. What this means is that the practice is in Specs, which is a liquor store here in Texas that operates more than 200 package stores across the state, doesn't have to compete with your local grocery store to sell spirits or even spirit-based cocktails, despite the fact that they own and operate more stores in Texas than Target and Costco combined. I know that there are other witnesses who will dive into the technicalities of the bill, but I want to briefly boil it down to its most simple 2 points. The bill does two things. It repeals the publicly traded prohibition, and it creates a new permit that businesses could apply for that would allow them to sell malt beverage, wine, or spirit-based products. Specifically, the bill stipulates that the holder of the new permit would be required to abide by all of the current safety regulations that package stores follow today. Ultimately, this is a pro-consumer bill, which is why TRA is back here supporting it. TRA represents companies that operate every single day across the state and safely sell beer and wine. Many safely sell spirits in other states. HB 3339 provides an avenue for my members to safely sell those spirits here in Texas as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions or Chairman Herrero kind of visit to the mom and pop question that you had previously.
All right. Thank you for being here, Mr. McCord. Are there questions for the witness? Seeing none? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify on for or against House Bill 3339? Hearing none. Chair recognizes Representative Patterson to close on House Bill 3339.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to be clear that in this bill, we're not talking about putting a bottle of Jack Daniels next to Little Debbie's or WD-40. We're talking about a separate store with a separate entrance, just like the package stores have. This bill is all about competition. It would create competition in the market without affecting the current system that is in place. And since no one spoke against this bill, I'd love your favorable consideration voting it out today if you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I could probably get somebody that would do it, but no, I digress. Okay, is there any questions for Representative Patterson? Seeing none. There's no questions. If there's no objection, House Bill 3339 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3339 is left pending. Where's Cooks? So members, just for the sake of transparency, I want everybody to know that the first thing Representative Harless said to me this morning is, could he move away from Mr. Goldman? And now we know why. Chair lays out House Bill 4447, recognizes Representative Cook to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, I appreciate the opportunity to lay out House Bill 4447 for you. Just a little bit of background. In 2005, the 79th legislature amended the Texas Occupations Code section 2303.155 to set the fees for vehicle storage facilities. And at that time, the impound fee set for daily storage rates for cars under 25 feet in length was set at $20, and over 25 feet were set at $35. And then the notification fees were set at a maximum of $50. About, 14 years later, 7 sessions later, the 86th legislature adopted section 2203.1552 to allow TDLR to biannually adjust higher or lower towing and daily storage fees based on CPI. Fee amounts have increased by 5.15% since 2019, but there was no no basis for an increase from the years 2005 through 2022, which measures, if you look at CPI over that time period, the inflation increase would have been over 50%. The minimal increase is a result of the fact that the 2005 rates were used as the basis for the increase. What House Bill 4447 does is attempt to use the rates that should have been used for the adjustment to the account from inflation from 2005 to 2021. The rate for vehicles 25 feet or less, from 2005 to 2023 would be $27.60 instead of the $20, and then for cars over 25 feet would be $48.29 for cars over, which would still only be a $13 increase over that time period. Also, vehicle storage facilities have lost 43.43% of the value of daily storage fees to inflation alone. Vehicle storage facilities face hardship with fees staying stagnant, but their operating employment and especially their land costs for rent and property taxes increasing year after year. Like many businesses that have not had increases over the last couple of decades, this is an opportunity to catch up this industry, and I would appreciate your favorable consideration of this bill, and I'd be glad to answer any questions if the committee has any.
Madam Chair.
David, would you go over those fee increases again for me, please?
Yes, ma'am. So in 2005 is when it was originally set. The impound fee for a car that's 25 feet or less was set at $20. Mm-hmm. And then for a car that was 25 feet or greater was $35. And then when TDLR, based on the legislation that the 86th legislature passed, they increased it by only 5.15%, which was about $1 based on CPI.
And you want to increase it to what or not?
Yeah, so then if you would go back and apply the CPI from year after year since 2005, it would go to $27.60 from, above the $20. So from 2005 until 2023, 18 years, it would be an increase from $20 to $27.60. And then the other one would be an increase from $35 to $48.29. And the notification fee would be, it was $50 back in 2005, and it would be at $75.91.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Mr. Schaefer has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. And if you've got a witness that can answer these questions better, I'll defer. But can you explain to me the fee structure, and is this just a fee that's set in statute that they can't control, or do they have other ways of charging fees to, make a profit?
I do believe we have a witness here, but yes, the legislation that was passed in 2005 is what set, it's the section 23.03.155 was passed, and that sets the fees, and so they don't have an ability to adjust that fee set by state, by TDLR.
I might ask the question for the witnesses too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Members, further questions, Mr. Cook? We're going to reserve your right to close and call you back up shortly. You have a few witnesses.
Thank you, Chairman.
Chair calls Ken Ulmer. The record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
Sure. My name is Ken Ulmer. I represent the Texas Towing and Storage Association. I'm the chairman, and I'm also the president of KTL Auto Storage in Houston, Texas. And I represent both of those organizations, mine included. I can't tell you and emphasize.
Would you please state your position on the bill?
Oh, my position is for. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Now proceed.
I can't tell you enough about how important this is. Texas Towing and Storage Association represents these very small businesses, towing and storage operations throughout the state of Texas. And without these increases, some of these businesses already have fallen by the wayside because it is impossible to keep up with our daily costs. Every single fee that we have is regulated, every fee. There's no fee that's not regulated. That's the towing fee, that's the daily storage, that's the impound fee. This notification fee that we're talking about, all you have to do is call your newspaper and ask them how much it is to publish something in the newspaper. And we have to do that on many, many vehicles published in the newspaper. The cost is well above what we can get as a total maximum of $50 right now. Most newspaper publications are over $75. So you lose $25 immediately. If we have to apply to the state of Louisiana to get the registration, because we can't run that registration, Louisiana charges us $15 to get that registration, and we have to send it to Louisiana by certified mail. If Louisiana doesn't answer within 14 days, we then publish it in the newspaper. We've invested $15 plus the cost of a certified letter plus the $75 for the newspaper at the very minimum. We even have some locations that don't have a local newspaper because they're a small jurisdiction. The other thing that I want to talk about is how important vehicle storage facilities are to the economy and the structure of these small towns. And I think that's overlooked by a lot of people. Think about all of the abandoned vehicles that are left in apartment complexes or on the side of the road. It's vehicle storage facilities that are responsible for being able to get rid of these cars. Think about all the people who get in accidents. Those vehicle storage facilities are the safe location that's monitored 24 hours a day that stores those vehicles for insurance companies and things. We don't want those wrecked vehicles leaking all types of fluids taken back to people's neighborhoods. But when you have a situation where there are no vehicle storage facilities that can be sustained and stay in business, then that's where those cars wind up going, or they get left on the side of the road. How much congestion and traffic problems does that cause? So vehicle storage facilities are extremely important in community service, in neighborhood protection, getting those junk cars out of neighborhoods, communities, apartment complexes, all those types of things. And without this type of legislation, they will not survive. I can tell you in Houston, Texas, our costs are up in every single avenue that we have, except for our ability to collect fees. So this is really, really very important, and I would love to have any questions that anyone has.
Mr. Harless.
Yeah. You kind of lost me. Why are you having Louisiana run?
We can't run a registration in Louisiana. We can only run registrations in Texas. So we can only access that registration information in Texas. We have to send to Louisiana or Florida or any other state.
If you have a car that's registered in Louisiana.
Right. Okay. If a car comes into our vehicle storage facility, we have to notify the last known registered owner.
My other question is, what percentage of cars do y'all auction off that are left there?
So that's a really good question, and that's a twofold answer. So the actual number of cars that gets auctioned is, in my particular situation, it's going to be dramatically different in small communities and different jurisdictions. But in my situation, we auction about 10 or 12% of the vehicles that actually come in through the front door. And over half of those vehicles are actually junk vehicles that do not come anywhere close to, and when I say nowhere close to, I mean not even 20% of the fees that are owed. So we lose 80% of those fees on over half of those vehicles that actually go to auction. And sometimes it's even worse. Right now, the scrap market is okay, but when the scrap market is bad, we may lose 95% of those fees.
Thank you.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask you whether or not, I know that you're required to notification a specific way now, but I want to see whether we can explore, since we got all this modern thing going, internet and things like this, maybe add a cheaper way that you can do this, because the notification seems, I know it's necessary, but the cost seems so onerous.
The Texas Towing and Storage Association, I'm glad you asked that question, because that is an awesome question. Because we do have jurisdictions in small towns that don't even have a local newspaper anymore. So they have no avenue to be able to run that ad in a newspaper. And the cost of those ads is going up dramatically. Texas Towing and Storage Association introduced a bill. I don't know where that bill stands right now, but CJ Treadway can speak to that. But that bill would have allowed us to partnership with Texas Department of Motor Vehicles and publish that on their website. I think anybody who's renewed your registration knows you give your internet address now, and you're able to get those notifications from Texas DMV. And they do a lot of their notifications already on this website. And that would have allowed us to be able to do this notification in that way as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer.
Yes, thank you. Along those lines of thinking how to, build a better widget here, if the Texas Department of Public Safety actually has data from Louisiana, I don't know if Texas and Louisiana share the registration data, our two public safety departments, But if Texas has Louisiana data, maybe we could find a way for you to get access through DPS, but I don't know the answer to that question.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are some rules in place that don't allow us to access that information. So many years ago, I've been in the business 34 years, we would actually call the Houston Police Department and say, hey, I've got a car from Louisiana, can you run the plate for me? And they would do that. And they would give us that information, we'd send that certified letter. But it was determined that under these DPS rules that we could no longer access that because that's protected information.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we need to look at cutting that red tape. That might be something we can do. Secondly, I just need to ask you about the actual numbers here. So just like on this bill, it says the adjustment of the impoundment fee. You're doing some math here with the Consumer Price Index. If this bill passed today, what would the fee raise to?
The daily rate for under 25 feet would be about $27. And right now it's $21 and some few.
So go up $6.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and does this bill do a one-time fee, or does it lock in a perpetual inflation adjustment?
The CPI adjustment is already there. This bill just corrects where the CPI adjustment picked up, and it goes back to 2005 to make that correction. So it doesn't stop the CPI adjustment, which happens every 2 years. That will continue to happen, but that's a bill that has already passed. This just corrects that error from 2005 up until whatever time that was when we did our last one.
So there's already an inflation adjustment in the law?
Right, but what that equaled to was $1.02. So over this almost 20-year period of time, we got $1.02 increase, $1.03.
So even under the current law, you're not getting an inflation adjustment?
We are, but it happens every 2 years, and it was only from the day that it started forward. So far, total, we've gotten about $1.03.
So you're getting an inflation adjustment. You want a richer inflation adjustment.
Not really a richer inflation adjustment. I mean, just imagine the costs that we have that have gone up in this almost 20-year period of time that we haven't had an increase. And it's really important to remember, other businesses have an increase in property tax. My property taxes have gone up 60% at my particular location in Houston, and I haven't had one single fee that I can raise or that I can have an effect on. So that means the towing fee's locked in. Every single fee that I do is locked in. I've got a Buc-ee's down the street from my location in Houston, and Buc-ee's is paying so much money until we've raised our beginning rate. Walmart is paying so much money, we've raised our beginning rate. We've gone up over 30% in what we actually pay a starting employee to be able to compete. So without some types of increases like this, these vehicle storage facilities are falling by the wayside because they just can't
So what would it
stay open.
What would it do next year? So is it, are we?
Well, TDLR only adjusts it every 2 years.
Okay, so in 2 years.
And that CPI is just a CPI increase. So we've had 2 increases so far, and they totaled a little over $1.
Okay.
So it's not a huge increase. And this is not unsimilar to what happens on other fees. The City of Houston towing regulated fee uses the CPI adjustment, and it can go up or down. So that is also based on the CPI.
So the fees, so the revenue that these businesses collect is entirely fixed by the state of Texas?
100%.
Is there any other ancillary services or things that they provide that are not regulated that they are drawing revenue from?
Some vehicle storage facilities, not mine, but some vehicle storage facilities are related to a body shop or mechanic shop or repair facility of that some sort. Most vehicle storage facilities are related to a towing company. Mine as well. So we have a towing company and a vehicle storage facility, but our towing company rates are set also for probably 75% of our towing customers. So all of the police agencies set that rate. All of the non-consent towing sets that rate, but we have certain consumer customers who may be for a local garage, and we can affect their rate and have an increase in their rate. And remember, we don't even have the ability to charge a fuel surcharge or anything when fuel prices go up or down unless your local police jurisdiction allows that, and Houston does not.
Houston, it's always an issue around here.
Sorry.
Well, we've known for years Houston should have their own session. Mr. Guerrero.
Yes. Good morning. I was confused at the beginning of this bill. I think I'm starting to understand it. It sounds like to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this bill is trying to get the industry caught up as to where it should be Because
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Because the bill that was passed that would allow the adjustments to be made, in adjustments to cost of doing business, weren't, I guess, mathematically done correctly, or whatever the reason might be. And so in order to get caught up to where I guess the industry would have been by now, is what this bill is trying to do, is to make up that gap, if you will, that exists in law. And so that's why it's referred to as a one-time fee.
Right. And I might reiterate, too, that just this catch-up number, just based on the percentages, doesn't come anywhere close to all of the other increases that we've had.
Well, that was my second part of the question. So how did you come up with these numbers now? In other words,
it's the CPI. It's just the consumer pricing.
Over the years that
Yes.
it hadn't gone up to where
From
it should have
2005,
been or
yes, sir.
would have been?
Yes, sir, from 2005.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got just two quick questions. One is, do you know the average time period a car stays in storage?
Well, there again, that's a kind of a complicated question because we look at it as the type of tow. So accident type tows, vehicles that have been in car accidents, are about 1.3 days in my facility. I can't say for other facilities. Private property type tows are almost 1.1 day. So they don't stay very long. They get picked up very quickly. Junk type vehicles stay until the auction process is complete. In Houston, that's about 45 days to 55 days. So we've got 55 days worth of time invested in that car before it goes to auction. And then that car on average sells for about $300.
Okay. My other question is, and it's certainly not all body shops, but you hit on that point, and there is a loophole, and we as a legislature need to find a way to fix that problem. If a car goes to a body shop and they store that car, no regulations.
You're absolutely right. If it's stored at a body shop that is not tied to a vehicle storage facility.
And there are some bad players.
There are.
You'll have to admit that there are
There
some
are.
bad players that are doing this. And
But let me say one good thing about that. The Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, TDLR, has done an awesome job at creating what's called the flipping bill. And the flipping bill, they have gone after these body shops. They have taken some of these body shops' licenses. They have taken their VSF licenses away. And that is documented things that have happened and gone into place. We supported that bill as well for the flipping. Believe me, the flipping hurts our industry in a terrible, terrible way. And we definitely don't support it. It is a small community of the body shop industry that does that. But it most certainly is a very big eyesore on our industry that has nothing to do with us.
yeah, I have three particular ones in my district that are going after, preying on the little guy that gets in a car wreck and he takes the vehicle to the body shop and they run this huge storage on it.
Right.
And they steal the vehicle.
Yep,
And
you're absolutely right.
It makes you all look bad. And we need to figure out a way to fix that loophole because it's horrible.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, and I won't name any names, but the city of Houston went after a big operator who did that, and that they put that operator out of business. He actually did some jail time, had to pay a huge amount of restitution money, and they literally closed down his business, sold his assets, and completely closed down his operations. He'd been running for 25 years. As long as I've been in business, he had been running the exact same scam, multiple millions of dollars, and they invested years in that avenue, and they actually did a sting, used the insurance industry to prove that these guys were doing some terrible, terrible things. But that's one bad actor that unfortunately has an effect on us good guys that are out there, just vehicle storage facilities, trying to do good for our community and provide good services.
And I'm not picking on you, but it's not one bad actor. It's more because I got three in my district alone. And so, and I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, I only meant it was a small percentage of body shops and collision shops, but it's not a vehicle storage facility.
No,
that
it's a
is,
body shop.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Members, are other questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here. I appreciate your testimony. Chair calls Trevor Forbes. Mr. Forbes, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Yes, sir. My name is Trevor Forbes. I'm the CEO of Peak Auto Storage. We operate towing companies and auto storage facilities in Texas, Colorado, and Georgia. I'm here to testify in support of the bill. My colleague, Mr. Ulmer, gave a great description, so I won't cover any of the reasons it's so necessary that we get this passed. But I did assist Southwest Tow Operators with the kind of creation of the mechanisms by which it gets increased, and they're quite complicated and a little confusing. So I'd just be happy to answer any questions about the mechanism by which the increase happens and stuff like that.
Thank you. Members, questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And your brevity.
Yes, sir. I'm in between you and breakfast, I think.
That's right. Chair calls Tasha Mora. Ms. Mora, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Good morning, Chairperson and committee members. My name is Tasha Mora, and I represent myself as an owner and operator of a vehicle storage facility in Austin, Texas. Additionally, I represent Southwest Tow Operators. We are in favor of House Bill 4447. Committee members, when a vehicle is received for storage at a licensed vehicle storage facility, the operator of said facility must legally provide 3 services: the impoundment service, the notification service, and the daily storage service. The rates for each of these services are set by statute. However, the rates have only been adjusted once in 17 years. This bill would adjust the rates to simply catch up, exactly as the representatives stated, to catch the rate up in alignment with the Consumer Price Index. This is not a raise. Rather, this bill allows for a one-time adjustment to these rates so the rates are in alignment with the CPI. If the bill were to pass, this bill would benefit the average Texan. I'd like to demonstrate how. I'm a 5th-generation Texan. I married my high school sweetheart, and with 4 young children under 8, we had the grit, perseverance, and a strong will, and we started our small mom-and-pop micro business, a one-man towing company, and of course, our vehicle storage facility. Located on a sublet piece of property in the heart of Austin, Texas, only 2.5 miles from the front door of our capital. That was 21 years ago in 2002. We have proudly serviced our city. Yet most important to us, our small business has provided jobs and opportunities to more than 260 fellow Texans and their respective families. We are one of many vehicle storage facility owners in Texas. We create jobs for fellow Texans, and this is how the bill can help the average Texan. However, our members at Southwest Tow Operators are struggling to cope with one of our largest pain points, our reimbursement rates, or these regulated rates. More than 90% of our average dollar goes towards operating expenses, costs, and including the rising property taxes, insurance premiums, and rising labor expenses. Vehicle storage companies across Texas have patiently coped with the lack of adjustments for 17 years, but now we are working through rampant inflation and the expenses keep growing. The members of our association say, yes, we need this bill. We need this adjustment. Southwest Tow Operators are in favor of House Bill 4447. Committee members, I'd like to thank you for your time and also thank Representative Cook for sponsoring this bill, and I am available for questions.
Thank you. Members, are questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Appreciate you being here. Chair calls Mark Denson. Mr. Denson, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Thank you for your time. My name is Mark Denson. I represent myself and On-Site Towing out of Houston, Texas. I am in favor of the bill.
Please proceed.
I just wanted to add some additional insight to just additional regulation that vehicle storage facilities locally have to adhere to. The state sets a bare minimum. You know, most people think it's just a chain link fence, tires laying around, things like that. In our local areas, our cities and counties have come in and they create greater restrictions, which require us to have solid barrier fences. In my area, I have to have a concrete barrier fence around my two-acre facility. When I first started, it was a chain link fence. Now it's a concrete wall. We do have to provide public access for restrooms. We have to have public access for lobby areas. These are all things that are added on to us that we willingly do to grow with the industry and be a better steward of our community, but these are additional costs for us.
Okay. Members, are questions of the witness? Oh, Mr. Harvis.
I'm just curious. When you originally started out, you had a chain link fence?
Yes, sir.
And then they can go back and make you put a concrete fence?
Yes.
You're not grandfathered in?
You're not grandfathered in, but in certain cases, you want to be better in your community as well.
Well, no, that's two different answers.
Right.
Grandfathered in, or are you mandated to put that concrete fence in?
You are mandated.
You want to do to be good
mandated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Members, other questions of the witness? See none. Thank you for being here. Chair calls Timothy Ward. Mr. Ward, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Timothy Ward. I represent myself, and I'm for the bill.
Please proceed.
As other people have said, all the information's there. Just so everybody understands, every vehicle that comes into the storage facility, we have to look up the DMV report. Not just one state, but every state. Every state charges different fees. New York charges $25, $35. Another state charges 25 cents. Another state charges $40. Another one you have to mail a letter to. So costs are all over the board. But as he asked, it's regulated. We're only allowed to charge a certain amount of money, and we're limited. We always know that's it. So I just want you guys to know that it is difficult out there. Not getting a raise for those fees over 15, 17 years is hard. And we struggle to survive sometimes. And I do run a small VSF up in McKinney, Texas. We did spend 4 hours driving here to testify here today. So this is very, very important subject. Thank you.
Members or questions of the witness? Mr. Schaefer.
I just want to say God bless men like you who keep this country running.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4447? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Cook to close on his bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, I think y'all have asked some great questions this morning, and so I want to say thank you, Representative Schaefer, specifically for the question that you asked, because I really think that sets the stage for why this request and why this bill is necessary. Is that this is a situation where the government decided that we needed to set rates. If this was a free enterprise situation, these guys would be charging a lot more than what's set forth already under state law. And so the fact that they don't have that authority and they don't have that ability, and the fact that the legislature was not giving increases over that period of time, this simply gives an opportunity. And I think Representative Schaefer asked this question as well. It's not an error on TDLR's part at all, but I think when the legislation was passed in 2019, it takes care of it going forward, but it didn't take care of what happened between 2005 and 2019. So that's what this bill really does, is gives an opportunity so that we can catch them up for if there would have been just a simple CPI, which we all know that's not enough to cover all the costs, that they're incurring. But just a CPI increase from 2005 through the current period is all this bill does, and it still would not, in my opinion, would still not cover the cost. But I appreciate the opportunity to lay out the bill, and would appreciate your favorable consideration, and would be glad to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Members or questions of the representative? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
I close. Thank you, Chairman.
All right. If there's no objection, House Bill 4447 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 4447 is left pending. Huh? Very first. This one. Okay. All right. Chair lays out House Bill 2349. Chair offers committee substitute to House Bill 2349 and recognizes Chairman Harris to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I appreciate the opportunity to lay out the committee sub to House Bill 2349 before you today. This committee sub is a result of hours of negotiations between stakeholders. It simply increases the bottle limit for distillers to sell directly to consumers from 2 750 milliliter bottles to 4 750 milliliter bottles during a 30-day period. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I reserve the right to close and will defer to witnesses.
Okay. Members, there are questions of Mr. Harris? Not seeing any. You do have some witnesses, and I can testify that this is an agreed-to bill, so by the stakeholders. So the chair calls Lance Lively, the Texas Package Store Association. Mr. Lively, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, my name is Lance Lively. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Package Stores Association here in support of House Bill 2349. We'd like to applaud Chairman Harris, his staff member Jeff Carlson, for working with us and other stakeholders to come to an agreement outside of this bill that we think will be beneficial to all parties involved for the next 10 years. So applause to him and his efforts and our other stakeholders who I think you'll hear from as well, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Members or questions, Mr. Lively? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Chair calls Ricky Knox. Mr. Knox, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Ricky Knox, President of the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of Texas. I'm here to speak in favor of Committee Substitute to House Bill 2349. Ditto to Mr. Lively's testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. It's our first ditto of the session. I like it. All right. Chair calls Rick Donnelly. Mr. Donnelly, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members. I'm here in support of the bill. I'm Rick Donnelly, President of the Beer Alliance of Texas, and we are in support of not only the bill, but the agreement. And I'll give you the second ditto of the session.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Donnelly.
be glad to answer any questions.
For that concise testimony. Members, are questions, Mr. Donnelly? Not seeing anything.
Thank you, sir.
For being here. Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Harless has a question. No? Going once? She's good at that. I could feel it over here. Mr. Donnelly, I don't think Mr. Harless has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair calls Van Bracken. Mr. Bracken, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
Good morning, Chairman. My name is Van Bracken. I am representing Bartlett's Distillery and myself. I'm in support of the bill 2349. My name is Van Bracken. I'm a fourth-generation Texan and owner of Bartlett's Distillery in Conroe, Texas. We make the best whiskey, rum, and agave spirits in Montgomery County. Matter of fact, we're the only distillery in the county. We have a tasting room set up on site where we're open to the public. They come in, they try our spirits, they take some home with them. We sell whole drinks in bottles that we all make on site. We don't get stuff from out of state. We don't get stuff from Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, bring it in and slap text the label on. We actually make it right there on site. So I'm proud of that. Our tasting room is a lot like Cheers. We have a great group of regular customers that come in every week, and those regular customers help our new visitors from around the city, around the state, around the country come in and try our spirits. We face a lot of challenges on top of what normal businesses see. Distilled spirits is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the state. Current law limits on when, where, and how much we can sell. We cannot sell whole bottles on Sundays, which is one of our biggest days, because it's on the weekend, and that's a big tourism thing, which costs us about 40% of our revenue on Sundays. We can only sell to people who come into our place and to the distributors who sell to the package stores. Also, right now we only can sell 2 bottles per person for 30 days. Now, House Bill 2349 would allow us to sell. The original bill was just 2 bottles per product. That would allow us to sell more of our products to our customers that come in. We only distribute a few of our products to the distributors. We don't only do the most popular, the best-selling ones. We also have a lot of other niche, limited run, and seasonal products that we don't distribute. We just don't have the capacity for that, and we would like to have the ability to sell more of these products to our customers. This bill will allow our visitors to take home a wider variety of our products and share with their families, friends, when they get back home, so that they again can go in and find the products in the local stores. This would also increase the sales tax return to the state of Texas because we're selling more products, and package stores would ultimately benefit because as we can build our new products as we go along, then those products then eventually get out of the package stores. Thank you for your attention and your aye vote on 2349.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Harless.
I got a question. You're
Ms.
from
T must have
Conroe?
missed.
Yes, sir.
You came from Conroe, and that's all you brought right there. I'm looking at that bottle.
Empty bottle.
Empty bottle. What's going on?
It's the empty bottle in this room.
I'm gonna have to get your address so I can order a bottle because that's not gonna be enough for us to sample.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that question. Members, are there other questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Chair calls Jay Crouch. Mr. Crouch, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Good morning. My name is Jay Crouch. I represent myself, and I'm hoping that you will vote for this bill. I know it's kind of early to get into the bottle, so I brought you all some cookies that were made with all their cookies. They are, and they do have nuts in case anyone's allergic. But I just want to, give you a heads up. They're chocolate chip and oatmeal. And the reason why I'm here is actually because I love Texas distilleries. For our summer plans, our summer vacations, we travel, we do road trips, we go all over the state. I have a lot of friends in the distillery, and honestly, getting 2 bottles isn't enough even for the cookies you guys have right now. We also take care of hundreds of soldiers. We ship cookies overseas. Our family's just big Texas. We weren't born here, but we got here as soon as we could, is what we tell people. And the other thing that is really important is that these are mom and pop distilleries. These people are putting their soul into that bottle. And I just want you guys to understand how important it is for them to be able to sell more than 2 bottles, to be able to enjoy it at home and to have other people be able to share it. I really, truly believe in Texas, when you watch all those old movies, we don't say, hey, that's the guy from New Hampshire. We say, that's That's Texas. This is Texas hospitality. And hospitality does include more than 2 bottles sometimes. And I just want you to understand that how important it is for those sales. Now, I get package stores and all that fun stuff, but if I'm there, I want to buy directly from the guy that made it. There's something about just a little bit of hometown pride. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys were able to enjoy it. And like I said, there are nuts in the cookies, so if you are allergic, my apologies. And that's it. Any other questions I can answer, I'll be happy to.
And thank you very much for your testimony. Members, are questions of this witness? Thank you very much.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
you being here. Chair calls John Evans. Mr. Evans, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Howdy, I'm John Evans. I'm here today in support of HB 2349, substituted on behalf of the Texas Distilled Spirits Association and myself. I'm the owner of Wilson Valley Mercantile in Little River, Texas. We opened our tasting room the last week of September of 22. I don't know that we were ready, but the bleeding had to stop. We were the first distillery in Bell County. My family has farmed and ranched the land where my distillery sits since 1867. That's 156 years of history and tradition. I'm the 5th generation running the farm and ranch. And then addition of the distillery is intended so that the 6th generation can have something to call their home, their own, hopefully. We plan to use the grain that we grow on the farm in our own products. Over the last several months, I've spent a fair bit of time on what we are, whether that's seed to glass, grain to glass, farm and field to glass. Mostly I've settled on seed to sip now to reflect what we do. We barreled our very first bourbon in November. It'll take at least 2 years in the barrel aging. Until it's ready, we're making vodka and white whiskey at the distillery to give people a reason to come visit us. At this point, we don't have a wholesaler, and our product is not in distribution. It probably won't be until that bourbon's ready and finished aging. So allowing visitors to buy 4 bottles at our distillery would be a very important while we wait on that aging process. This extra income will aid in marketing our spirits throughout Texas and hopefully the United States. Without this bill, we can only sell 2 bottles every 30 days. So HB 2349 helps the little guy like me who's not yet in distribution. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are questions for the witness? I've got one.
Yes, sir.
Because you're registered as representing yourself, but also the Distilled Spirits Association.
Yes, sir.
Part of the association. So this comes up every session. 2 bottles, unlimited bottles, and this is an agreed. I was here when the 2-bottle agreement happened. Now we're going to 4 bottles. Is this committee going to get a session off, and is this agreement going to stand for at least a session?
The agreement
from the association standpoint.
I know
you can't speak to all distillers, but
yes, sir. From the association standpoint, yes, sir.
We would appreciate that.
Sure.
It was negotiated, as you know. It was a very heavily negotiated bill.
Absolutely.
And an agreement should at least make it through 1 session before we undo it. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
All right. Is that it? Oh. Chair calls Mike Cameron. Mr. Cameron, good to see you. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Hi, Chairman King, and thank you, members of the committee. My name is Mike Cameron. I'm the current president of the Texas Distilled Spirits Association and also president and CEO of and founder of my distillery in downtown San Antonio, which is Devil's River Whiskey Distillery. I am here in support of House Bill 2349. just a quick landscape of the industry. When I started my first distillery 15 years ago, excuse me, we were the 9th. There's now 210 distilleries. We passed the bottle bill back in the 2013 session, as you recall, and it was extremely helpful in growing the industry in Texas. Texas is now #1 in the United States in vodka production. It's a pretty big deal because of Tito's and Deep Eddy and a few others that are, Dripping Springs and Enchanted Rock and others that have been successful. We oscillate between 3 and 4 in whiskey production in the United States. And I think that is a testament to the ingenuity and the will of the distillers in Texas that are producing all these wonderful spirits. This bottle bill will help the smaller distilleries, especially that don't have distribution yet. My distillery, for example, 85% of the tourists that come to my facility are from somewhere else, some other state, some other country. So it's a great way to promote Texas-made products. Our industry uses thousands and thousands, tens of millions of pounds of Texas-grown agricultural products, including grains, fruits from the Rio Grande Valley, and so forth. So this is only going to help accelerate our industry. We employ thousands of people, pay our fair share of taxes, and we just appreciate the support so much of the Texas Distilled Spirits Association, our organization, along with working with the Texas Package Store Association on this negotiation in this bill, the Texas Wine and Spirits Wholesalers, the Texas Beer Alliance, who are all here present in favor of this bill. So really want to thank the cooperation and effort and all the work that's gone into putting this bill together. But here to answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Questions for the witness? I would ask you to say, as President and CEO of the Texas Distilled Spirit Association, I'd ask you the same question. This was a heavily negotiated bill. And do you foresee this agreement lasting at least one session?
I absolutely do. As the president of this organization, we survey all of our members and we ask them, what is the most important issue to you? This is the most important issue. That's why it comes up every year. So I'm finally glad that we were able to negotiate this out. Now next year, or next session, we'll just come here and celebrate and continue our working together as the different tiers. We have no intention of destroying the 3-tier system. Without it, we wouldn't survive. Without our package stores and our distributors, we wouldn't have businesses. So it works. The 3-tier system works, and we stand behind that, and we don't want to come back and change this anytime soon.
Thank you for that. And, Mr. Harless.
Are you also a distillery? I might have missed that.
I am, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the name of your distillery?
It's Devil's River Whiskey Distillery.
Thank you.
So just for this committee's information, Mike was one of the first people who came to see me after I received this chair. And one of the bills he came to see me about was Chairman Harris's bill. And he negotiated in good faith. He was honest with what he wanted. I was helpful, I hope, in getting the other stakeholders in the room, and you guys made a deal and that everybody can live with and everybody can move on, and Chairman Harris agreed to carry it at that, and that's how you pass a good bill in the Texas House, and I appreciate your work.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And thank you for Representative Harris.
Is that it? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2349? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Harris to close on House Bill 2349.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Do you foresee this agreement holding up at least one session?
Absolutely. I think you have both mine and Chairman King's commitment to make sure that it
That is
so.
correct. That is a great question, and I hope everybody heard it. So,
with that, Mr. Chairman, I close and appreciate favorable recommendation.
You've got that. The committee substitute is withdrawn. If there's no objection, House Bill 2349 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 2349 is left pending. Members, we're ready? Done? Okay, members, that concludes today's agenda. Is there further business for the committee to address? If not, chair moves to adjourn. Is there objection? Hearing none, the committee stands adjourned. Subject call to the chair.